G'day, this is Len from TALK from the Homeland. Today we're going to have a short discussion on the driving standards in Armenia. And we'll start with what one might expect when you arrive from overseas, and you might notice that the uh, vehicles are not indicating. They don't know what an indicator is. Uh, Also, when you're driving around Yerevan, you might notice that there's quite a number of accidents. And when there is an accident, that they don't move the car, that there's traffic chaos everywhere. Not a lot of common sense. People might also notice that there's police standing in the middle of an intersection, waving their arms around, even when the traffic lights are working. Uh, that's apparently because drivers are not paying attention to the lights. They'll just creep forward and go across the intersection anyway. But what a waste of police manpower to have someone in the middle of an intersection. That shows you that their system is not working properly. And if people are going to act in an improper way at intersections, then there should be cameras there. I don't see why, as we do in Australia, people can't report using video cameras from the vehicle. A lot of the dangerous driving and the poor things that we see would disappear if they understood there were not just a few hundred police on the road. There's thousands of police in the way of civilians who can report such bad behaviour. So you hop into a taxi and you try and find a seatbelt. Sometimes there's no seatbelt because that's locked away. Or if there's a seatbelt, you try and put the seatbelt into the connector, but there's a metal device there which is deliberately put to stop the car beeping with the seatbelt not on. Um, it's Armenia. Or as it happened in one case, a taxi driver got upset for us with us putting a seatbelt on and said we would have to leave the taxi because saw it as some um, negative thing on his driving ability. So the ego side of it is what drives most of the people here. Unfortunately, most of the men believe that it's their God-given right to drive quickly, and they don't think for a moment that when they're driving, especially with children in the front seat that we see standing up, it's a shocker. That this is the opposite to loving their family. It's actually possibly destroying their family and others. Uh, Unfortunately, drink driving and things like that were quite common. Uh, we do see improvements with the more road patrols. They're stopping people now, and we understand that the amount of drink driving has reduced. But still we see many things wrong, including with the actions of the police themselves. I mean, the police, I already mentioned about the waste of resources of police standing in the middle of an intersection when there's a working traffic lights. They should be out there doing their primary jobs, not waving their arms around. Uh, we see the police with their lights on, their vehicle lights on all the time. And then, of course, when there's a real emergency, people just think that that's normal. That's called cry wolf in aviation. It's not supposed to be used unless there is a real emergency. Ambulances will speed even if there's not an emergency. But the worst offenders that I see are the defence trucks. Those trucks, and bearing in mind that the defence is there to protect civilians, they're driven quite often through villages twice the normal speed. And I guess they think that they're on some sort of priority mission. Yes, defence for a country like Armenia is a priority, but not if you're going to kill or endanger civilians along the way, the very people you're supposed to be protecting. The road designs here are not good. I don't see too many raised pedestrian platforms. In fact, a lot of the pedestrian crossings are almost non-existent. You can't make out the markings on the road. And the stupid thing is that many of the pedestrians will just sort of stop timidly on the side, probably because of they don't want to be run over. But of course, the drivers think that this is some sort of encouragement for them to just keep going, and they don't stop like they would perhaps in Australia. Uh, and Personally, I just go on the pedestrian crossing and I eyeball the drivers, and I even have them beeping me as if it's not my right to be on the pedestrian crossing. Again, this comes down to a lack of driver education and also education about ego. People seem to be in such a hurry to get somewhere in this country, and yet when you look around Armenia, it's like a bubble, time capsule where nothing really much changes. So go figure. And also, when I'm talking about road designs, a lot of the highway lanes are like 1.5 lanes wide. They're like 5 meters rather than 3.5 meters. And it encourages vehicles to try and overtake around corners. Um, Not that they need much encouragement because they'll do it anyway. Around blind bends, they'll do all sorts of dangerous driving. That's why I'm saying that there needs to be a process by which people can record this sort of driving and report it easily through an internet portal. For these people to be prosecuted, because the problem in this country is also hardly anyone gets properly prosecuted, because, as I understand it, the police are the police and the prosecution service is something different, and they go about their business in a completely bureaucratic way, shall we say, which is normal here in Armenia. What I would like to see, besides education of drivers and better standards for police, is for a conversation about what might be safe in the community. For example, here in RNE, we have vehicles coming down a hill from Khachik, and they're almost always speeding into the center of the village down the hill. And we need to I think it's called traffic calm. We need to do traffic calming in the area to try and slow people down and make the children and others who are walking, indeed other vehicles, safe in the area. Those are just some ideas. I'd love to contribute to traffic safety here if we could get the opportunity. We'd like to feedback to the authorities, but there is no way to feedback to provide a mechanism to give suggestions. Take pictures of poorly designed parts of roads or dangerous sections of roads that we could submit. These would be all good, positive things for Armenia going forward to help save lives. Some examples of the poor driving follow in videos. I hope you find it interesting. And I hope that some of the authorities are also watching this video and are able to see that there's a need for some urgent change in order to protect the small population of Armenia. Thank you. It's Len from Straight Talk from the Homeland. Thanks for listening. And tell me, why did he have a siren on when it's not an emergency?
Yeah, and they are full of young ones inside the car, just hugging each other.
Yeah. So that's illegal, isn't it? You're not supposed to use a siren unless it's an emergency, right?
Okay, let's see if he will overtake here.
Yeah. I bet you he does. Yep, there he goes.
Yeah, no.
Oh, no, not yet.
Because the car's there.
Yeah, not because it was no overtaking, but because there's a car.
Okay, let's see.
You're still trying.
Yeah.
There's one more. You're just going to overtake now.
So it's again non-overtaking
and
lane,
there's traffic
and
in front of
police car
Look
is
at that.
trying to
Video
overtake.
that. Oh, that is terrible.
He again didn't manage to do it.
Oh, get his license plate.
I can't see it.
Well,
and the video doesn't show.
It's
166
CC61.
CC61.
Okay. So
It's overtaking.
maybe we should
very
ask.
No,
Maybe we should ask police headquarters whether that's excellent driving, the sort of driving to be expected from a police car. And you see that overtaking in a 60km/h zone. Only a day or so ago, 11 people murdered on the roads. I say murdered because of the dangerous driving. And they're murdered because none of this was necessary. All of it's avoidable, but that's how they drive. And we ask here on this stretch of road for a speed camera. The government doesn't seem to have any interest whatsoever in slowing anyone down. Here's a vehicle doing at least 80km/h inside of 60, and that's only a small example. Most of them, there's a truck overtaking, doing 100km/h. This truck here, look at that. It's unbelievable. Nobody's slowing down.